There are some, I guess, not negative, but there are some things to think about when you're forming a corporation versus a limited liability company. It's somewhat more expensive. We've talked about the formation expense. There's a lot of involvement from your attorney, and there's a number of fees at a state level that you're going to be paying. It gets kind of expensive versus an LLC. For instance, in Arizona, you can form an LLC for $50. There's other costs associated with that you have to worry about, but generally corporations up front are more expensive. Another big item that's very, very different in corporations versus LLCs is that your corporate profits are taxed twice. A lot of people may not be familiar with this, but of course you pay taxes on a corporate level, and that could be 20, 30, 35% or more. And then if they distribute profits as a dividend, the individuals who receive the dividends pay profits taxes again. So you pay a dividend tax on that. So there's that double taxation of distributions from corporations. A lot of people too think in corporations and LLCs that once you establish your business, you're fairly well protected. I will just say as a warning, that also means though that you need to do a few things to actually operate your business properly. You have to insure your business, regardless even if it's a corporation. You have to capitalize it properly. You have to make the right investment into the business so it can sustain itself, okay? You also have to keep up with the business formalities. You're going to be required by state statute or other regulation to have regular meetings to properly document corporate decisions and board meetings and things of that nature. If you don't follow these corporate formalities, if you don't insure your business properly, a court could say that the corporation was just a sham and subterfuge, and they could reach out and find that the founders of the business are still personally liable. It's very, very important. It's very rare to happen because people do the right thing, but it is a risk, and you want to make sure that you don't fall into that risk area. There's a lot of pros regarding corporations, a lot of benefit. I think it's very easy to sell stock and raise capital versus the limited liability company. There are a number of investment firms that don't like LLCs. They're very, very familiar with corporations. People with IRAs or other tax-advantaged equity funds feel very comfortable with the corporate form. If you're looking at LLCs, tax issues become paramount, and you're usually sitting with a tax attorney for a long time trying to figure out how to do it. So a lot of people just say, no, I'm not going to do that at all. And I know a number of people that simply won't invest in LLCs. They really want to look at corporate stock. You can also make an allowance for retained earnings. You're not forced to distribute dividends. So you can, in fact, retain earnings and reinvest in your business. So you don't have to create a dividend stream for people. And again, I mentioned investors are more comfortable with that form. A very, very big difference in corporations versus LLCs is that corporate stock is a property right. If you look at the law, it's the same as owning a house or a car or anything. You have title to a piece of that business. An LLC, a limited liability company, it's a creature of contract, and we'll talk about that again later. But that contract contains all of the rights for the members and the managers and the interaction between them. So it's a contract right versus a property right. Property right, you can buy stock, you can give it away, you can give it to your children, you can donate it to a charity, anything you want to do with that, just like you would with any other property. But LLC contracts limits your rights as far as how you transfer your ownership, your equity ownership in that. And investors have lower dividend tax rates. So you might get taxed twice, but it's at a much, much lower dividend tax rate than if it was straight personal income. And you don't have Social Security taxes on dividends. So as opposed to personal income, when you pay your Social Security taxes, that really doesn't exist in the dividend stream. Limited liability companies have some good advantages. As I mentioned, they're very inexpensive to form. Most states, and all 50 states have an LLC law, keep a very, very inexpensive formation on LLCs. They're very easy to establish. You literally send in a form, maybe a couple pages with the owner's name on it, pay the fee, and you have a business. You want to protect it, and we'll get to that in a little bit, but it's very, very easy to set up, at least initially. And again, usually a simple state-level filing.